Sure.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first podcast of the A.B.C. Golf Production System. We've got a fun, eventful show here. For those of you who don't know, A.B.C. Golf, I'm the A of A.B.C. Golf, Austin. This is the B of A.B.C. Golf, Buck, and this is the C of A.B.C. Golf, Chris. We've got a bunch of topics to go over. First of all, we just want to welcome everyone and thank you for participating and watching us kind of talk about things and topics that we like in the game of golf.
Beyond.
And beyond, yes. We'd like to thank the Excelsior Springs Golf Course. We're here tonight in their simulator bay.
Very nice one.
They let us use this facility. They're so nice. You can find this podcast on any of the major podcast platforms.
We hope.
And you'll see this video on YouTube. We're going to be covering a variety of topics in today's episode. Not in any particular order, but we will talk about the new golf ball rollback, the Jon Rahm movement to the LIV Tour, and who we think is next. Tiger Woods, is he back? Maybe. We'll talk about myself and my recent trip to Florida and some tournaments that I played in down there. And then Buck and Chris each have a special topic which we will unveil as the show goes on. So, you guys have anything you want to add?
Super excited to do this. I think this you'll probably see this simulator in future podcasts, maybe with some lessons to each other, or maybe talk about what we're going to be working on over the winter. Austin does a league out of this that we're also maybe try to film some of that out of it.
I can't imagine we won't film some of that.
Or at least maybe we'll post some short videos here and there of just what's going on throughout the winter. Our plan is to do these podcasts at least once a month. Maybe could be a little more often depending on what topics come up. So looking forward to it.
Are we live, by the way, or is this tape delayed?
This is tape delayed.
We're
not live on any platform.
Okay. Good. So I can, if I say anything stupid, cut.
Yeah, we can
cut that.
All right, you guys want to start with the first topic?
Sure.
Okay, we have the golf ball rollback has been announced. Both the USGA and R&A have announced this new rule. I did not take the liberty to actually research anything about this because I think it is immensely stupid on many levels. So I'll let these guys kind of start before you hear my rant about it.
The only thing I found that Austin and I had talked about it the other day, we didn't think it was going to be on the amateur platform, but what I read today was in 2028 the PGA is going to go to it. In 2030 the amateur, the rest of golf is supposed to do this golf ball rollback, which I think is very awkward. I don't understand why we as amateurs need to worry about that. The game of golf has gotten popular because of equipment, because people that are 75, 80 years old are still hitting the ball 220 yards, and it allows them to enjoy the game longer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for me, I'm way against it on both sides.
Oh, good. I get to be the dissent. I get to be the voice of dissent tonight because I'm all for it.
Which is Delaney's favorite.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Roll that back. I'll be fine going back to the feather balls. I don't care. For somebody that hits the ball 220 yards, then I'm going to notice.
I would agree with that. I do agree with that. A shorter hitter maybe doesn't notice as much if the ball is created that way. If it only influences faster clubhead speeds, then maybe the lower clubhead speed level players are not affected as much. But I think that what if you have a tour player that has speed but also has a lot of spin? Now that spin gets revved up even more and they hit it a lot shorter. But I don't think it's the root problem that's not the root. The problem is not the ball went too far. The problem is that we allowed golf course designers to create golf courses that are wide open and you can bomb it everywhere, right, and there's no rough and there's no trouble.
Or even like you mentioned the other day, even if you are in the rough, the clubs in the balls a little bit that create a little, allow you to get the ball out of the rough.
I don't care when I hit it in the rough.
Exactly.
Even in our course, when our rough is 6
Yeah.
inches in the middle of summer because it only gets mowed once a week,
Yeah.
it's not that big of a deal if you're a younger, somewhat stronger player. You're going to get the ball out of the rough as long as you're hitting an iron.
The only thing that matters is, I can't get as much spin on it. Maybe
Right.
I can't throw it at the pin or
Right.
something.
Well,
like
and
that.
most of the golf courses that we're going to play, the greens are going to be soft enough where
Mhm.
you're
You're still not. You can hit it on the front of the green. It's not going to go over.
exactly. Yeah, it shouldn't be that penal. Where it should be penal if those guys hit it in the rough one too.
Penal.
Yeah.
So what I found out was that instead of for their test purposes, instead of being 120 mile an hour swing speed, they're going to 125 mile an hour swing speed to go to topping out at 317 yards. So that's their deal. But it's still going to be based on balls, right? Like, so Keegan Bradley actually he said that with his ball, Shrixon, that they gave him the ball that this is what the PGA is wanting everybody to use, and he said he lost 40 to 50 yards. So obviously that's why the PGA, right? The PGA gave them 5 years to figure this out. So because they will roll it back even more or different if
Well,
it
they're going to
becomes an
change the
issue.
clubs too, and one of the reasons that they upped the swing speed from 120 to 125 in 1980 it was at 100. In 2000 they moved it to 120, and to 2000 they should move it to 130 probably. But 125 they're now going to be able to tell the smash factor and the bounce factor of the golf club, and what do they call it? The crush or what's the?
Well, you have smash factor.
Not the
That's-
smash. There's something they measure on the face of the golf ball, especially the driver.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know what it's
I
called.
can't remember the
I do
term
know
for
what it's
it.
called.
But
I
yeah,
can't
but
think
so
of
they're
it.
saying that, well, they can't get accurate readings on the drivers because these guys are swinging 125, 130 miles an hour and they're only testing at 120. So then what's going to happen is that some of these drivers may say, oh, this driver doesn't conform anymore. And it's not that it changed, it's that now we're throwing it at 125 instead of 120. Yeah, so it's probably going to mess with the clubs as well. I don't think we've heard the last of this. I don't think it's going to go as smoothly as they think, where just everybody dials it back.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with the little bit, I think nobody ever says this, but I think we've reached maximum velocity on the golf ball.
Yeah.
That's not the problem anymore. I mean, when you were hitting a balata ball that, I would literally knock it out of round
Yeah.
in 3 or 4 holes. That's a little different than what we're playing with now.
Right.
And I think we've reached to where it's enough is enough.
I worry so if you roll the ball back and you does everybody try to get their club head speed up to 125 to get the max distance out of that ball? And if so, now where does the use of illegal substances start to fall in place? I mean, you have a 14-year-old kid.
You're talking on tour now.
On tour, yeah, on tour. Not with any amateurs.
Right.
They could care less, and we don't care if they use steroids anyway.
Yeah, right.
But with professionals, I feel like they're all already in the gym, but there are some people that just naturally can swing faster than other people. So if I'm a 125 or 130 swinging guy, and the other guy, Buck, is a 120 max, does he have to do something now to boost, or does he feel the need? I don't know. I mean, it's no different than today, I guess.
Yeah, I think that by dialing it back, maybe somebody that has that 133 mile an hour swing speed, they lose 10 yards, where the guy who has a 125 mile an hour swing speed maybe loses 7 yards. And so it kind of brings it back.
Right. They're trying to make it more equal, where
Agreed.
everybody, no matter how
Yeah.
hard you swing, is trying to get it to where when you both hit driver off the tee, that you're relatively close to each other. Instead of one guy, like what our old guys complain about, I can't play from those tees because I'm hitting 4-iron into a par 4, and that's not fair, right? Well, it's the same way on tour. A tour guy that's only hitting at 270 or 280 shouldn't be hitting a 4-iron into a par 4. And they're making the courses longer, and that's all they're trying to do is to make it more even.
They're trying to eliminate because so many of these guys have outgrown the courses. They can't make them any bigger like the Masters. Augusta National, they can't.
Yeah,
They can't make it any bigger.
Right.
I'm all for it. I think Augusta. Some people have talked about this. I think they should go to almost a retro retro look.
So that's what there was. I think it was Justin Thomas, or maybe I can't remember. We're talking about that. It's going to be weird though, because there are going to be maybe 4 events a year that are going to allow the other balls and not the rollback balls. So that, I mean,
That's weird.
that's weird.
Go
Right.
one way or go the other.
right, because now you have to learn yardages again. You played 3 months with this one ball. You got, I mean, you've seen these books with you do the same thing with your wedges and whatever. That their yardage is how the difference they can hit them just makes the game even more difficult.
Here's something I don't understand, and I don't know if I've just never really understood this about golf. So if you play in a tennis tournament, everybody's playing the same ball.
Yeah.
If you play in baseball, everybody's playing the same ball. You play in football, everybody's playing the same ball. I mean,
Why are
we so concerned? I mean, just have everybody make the same ball.
That's true.
You can't do that, of course,
Right.
because titles and
Well,
everybody would lose their
Well,
mind.
we should just, I think we were talking about this before, Buck and I, about that, and just sell the advertising rights. You should just quadrant off the golf ball, and Titleist gets one corner, and TaylorMade gets the other corner. So they all still get their branding.
Or you can even choose. Like
Yeah,
if you're
or
a
you can
TaylorMade
choose.
guy, your ball says TaylorMade, but it's the same ball.
Exactly. It just
And that's what Major League Baseball does. So they sell the baseball rights. It's typically, I think it's always Rawlings, but they have the right to make all the Major League Baseballs.
Right.
So this is the other argument that you're making. So minor league baseball for years played with a different ball than Major League Baseball players played with. So, and then now the owners and the GMs have made this argument that, hey, it's hard to evaluate. They should all be playing the same ball, so we know how the exit velocity is on that baseball for that minor leaguer as we do for the major leaguer.
Side note: I worked in the minor leagues for a couple of years, and a Korean team came preparing for the Olympics, and they played a different ball than the Americans did, and so they were out taking BP, and our guys went out and hit those balls, and it was like hitting a golf ball. I mean, that thing went forever. So yeah, it makes a big difference. So I just think we should do that. And if there's 3 or 4 different balls, there's a senior ball and a lady ball,
And that's what they've talked about. What are they going to do with the women's tour?
They said the average the average driving distance, carry distance on tour for LPGA is like 225, and it's going to roll them back to like 220. I mean, it's a lot of noise about. I don't think it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
So, but this is something that I did see. So they did a poll on Golf Digest with amateurs, and granted, it's a very small sample size. And 65% of the golfers said they would not do it. So you will see this
I think
until they run out of those balls, right? Like, because there are going to be people stocking
But I
up on
also
those
think
balls.
it's people like me. So here's how naive I was, and I didn't tell you guys this prior to. I thought it was going to be the same amount of rollback, no matter what your club head speed was. So I don't think people understand. If you only swing it 100 miles an hour, you only lose 7 yards. If you swing it 120, you lose 40 yards. I don't think people understand. I didn't understand.
And I don't even think it's that much. I think the
Right.
max was 11, and the LPGA's 4 or 5, and they said your average 15 handicapper that carries a 205 is not going to notice at all. He's still going to carry 205.
That's the goal they're trying to get to. It doesn't
I think-
mean that they're going to do it exactly like that, but they're trying to make the absolute max guy
Right.
not be. He's still going to outdrive everybody, but he's not going to be outdriving guys by 30 yards.
Yeah.
So
And now, and I agree. I hate to agree with authority, but I think it was the guy from the RNA that he said, if you don't like this, then just tell your club pro or your maintenance guys to move the tee box up 3 yards on it. I mean, it's not.
true. Yeah.
So it gives you, and it makes the golf course play different. You can where the tee box is can make it a different hole. So like on this course, for instance, on 11, if you're on that back tee versus on that front tee, now that's a really big. It opens you up for more options, and I like it. I don't
So overall, we'll just go through.
Mhm.
Good for the game or bad for the game? We'll start with Chris.
I think the publicity is bad for the game, right? I think because there's so much controversy over it and nobody really knows. I think they probably shouldn't have announced this. They probably should have. Let's do some research. Let's see what we can find out. We'll come out with an actual plan when we have statistics. Because now everybody's saying, "Well, I don't want to lose 10 or 15 yards." Well, you're not going to lose. So I think they've handled it poorly, but I think the idea is good.
I think it's bad for TV golf, because I think the thing that amateurs want to watch is guys hit the ball 360 yards, 370 yards. But at the same time, they are having trouble with the Live Tour is a whole different story, but on the PGA Tour, they're having problems with parity, right? Like it's the same 10 guys. If the top 10 players are in the tournament, one of those 10 are typically going to win it in the majority of the time. When really that is what sells TV, right? Like those are the guys that are making people watch more. So I think they're probably going to do it for a couple of years, and then I think they're actually going to go back.
Yeah.
I do, but that's just.
So overall, good or bad for the game? I'm gonna say you said bad for the game.
I think it's
because
bad. I think it's bad for the game overall. Now I have the right to change that opinion later on. Obviously,
As they change the rules, we change our opinion.
Yeah. I still, boy, this is tough because I didn't know that it was different for each individual golfer to a degree of distance lost. I'm gonna say I like it for the fact on tour. The fact that if it makes the golf course harder for those guys to play, I'm all for that.
Agreed.
I also think, though, that hand in hand, we need to make golf courses tighter. They're too wide open. I mean, way too wide open.
But this is the cheaper way of doing that.
Right, I get that. Well, I guess I get that and I don't get that. It's not that expensive to let grass grow. Now, I know there's maintenance involved. I get that. But especially in major championships, I think it's gotten out of hand where it's like this.
I mean, they can
blast
blow it anywhere.
Yeah.
And they're hitting it off intense.
and driver is such a big part of today's game. It makes a difference. Like it's statistically proven to make a difference. If you hit it farther, you score better.
And none of those guys will hit it 365 when it's a tight hole.
Right.
You ever notice that?
Yeah.
I mean, the time they hit
Well,
it
but it also,
365,
I
you don't
think-
see anything for.
I think the biggest change that could happen is dialing back how hot they can make 3-woods. I mean, these guys are carrying 3-woods 320 yards, and there is no. The last time I knew, they might have changed now, but they can make a 3-wood as hot as they want. Right. So if you dial that back and give them different yardages or more difference of a yards, where they have to lay up now. Or on a par 5 that's 600 yards, they can get there in 2. And if you dial back that 3-wood, they're not going for it in 2 anymore.
That's true. I think overall my verdict is it's maybe good for professional golf. I'm sorry. Yes. Well, I don't know.
He reserves his right.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give an
Not gonna
opinion
judge
because
it.
I just when it happens and I see it play out for like 4 or 5 tournaments on tour, I don't give 2 craps about the amateur game because I don't think it makes one difference.
Well,
Amateur golfers hit
and
the
if,
ball everywhere.
and most amateur golfers don't play in competitive rounds, right? Like in,
Well, even your high level amateurs like US Ams.
right, but
I don't think it matters.
I think the biggest thing it's going to evolve in with local tournaments or whatever. There's just going to be players that are going to play whatever ball they want anyway.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't affect that.
It's just like the square groove thing. There's still guys out there with square groove woods. I've got them, in my basement. You're never gonna get rid of them for your everyday guy, and then the guys are gonna go buy a gross of Pro V1s to last them 10 years until they change.
Well, yeah, I mean, in a 4-person scramble, what rule do you go? You're just gonna have to go by. You play whatever ball you want because you can't enforce that. I mean, I'm never gonna enforce.
I already do that. I play a velocity off the tee.
Yeah.
Pro V1 around the green.
Yeah, and you wouldn't get people to play in those tournaments if they can't play their ball. I mean,
It's just impossible to enforce.
I agree.
and it's just it's in their head more than anything. Like, oh, I'm losing 10 yards here. I'm not going to be able to get to this green. Well, that's not necessarily true.
And let's face it, there are myriad of rules that we do not enforce.
Absolutely.
I mean,
or make up local rules are all just made up rules.
I mean, everywhere from the 1-ball rule to
Yeah. So one thing I did see that it was in this article too was they talked about pace of play. They're trying to dial back or speed up the pace of play, and they think this will do it. Well, it doesn't matter if everybody's hitting the ball a little shorter. You're still got to wait for those. Now you might have to not
fewer
wait
par
for the
fives, probably.
right, or even long par 4s that some drivable, especially around here. We have many courses that have less than 300-yard par fours.
I will say this: I never understood why everybody thinks a par 5 should be reachable in 2.
It absolutely
It's
should
par
not.
5.
Yeah, yeah, I
That's
agree.
exactly right.
Like, I never got under.
And boy, I hate it when I come to one, but
yeah, but it makes
it's
you
a
think.
legitimate golf hole. It's supposed to take you 3
Yes.
shots to get there.
Yeah.
Right? I also don't like par 4s that you have to hit 4 iron into,
not a
but
Let's go to the next one.
All right, moving on. John Rahm joins the LIV Tour. This happened like 3 weeks ago now.
Mhm.
But first off, thoughts on what this means for him as a player. What was the motivation for doing it? How will it affect the PGA Tour? Let's just start with that. You want me to start? I'll start.
you have a pretty strong opinion on this.
Yes, John Rahm, you're a turd. Here's the thing. I'm not blaming anybody for what did he take?
400 million.
400 million. I'm not.
Well, so
blaming
there's different things that I've found. So the total contract's like $566 million is what I found, and he
Okay.
gets supposed. And this could be, I mean, as time goes on, more details come about contracts all the time. But he's going to get $302 million up front.
I'll take
So,
300.
Yeah. Where do I sign? LIV.
LIV, sponsor this podcast. We'll sign.
I'd convert to Muslim. I'm become a Saudi citizen for 302
Yeah.
million.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame anybody for taking the money. I just think that, and why would he not take the money? He's going to get to play in all the major championships. He's going to stay on the Ryder Cup team. Rory's already alluded to that. I mean, he lost nothing, and sadly, I think that there are some guys that should have been on a Ryder Cup team last year that are now looking at this like, hey, we went and you guys scrutinized us, but Rahm went and now he's still a hero. And like, I don't know. I think that the merger is going to end up happening, and I think that the LIV Tour is going to become a bigger thing than the PGA
It's
Tour.
AFL, NFL all over again.
Yes.
Well, and it's, nobody's blaming anybody for taking money. It's just, this whole world is about greed, right? Like, there's never enough money. It doesn't matter. I mean, so Rahm had made $77 million in his career, of career earnings. That's not including endorsements. Now, he doesn't have as many endorsements as, say, Rory or Tiger or even Jordan Spieth. Now, that's his choice, too, probably. Like, he could probably get a lot more. I mean, he's
Well, who does he have? He has Callaway, Travis Matthews.
Mercedes.
He's got a watch, so you know he's got a watch. They all
Yeah.
Rolex.
I think I found that he only does about $6 million a year in endorsements, which is pretty low for a golfer of his magnitude, right?
Number 1 in the world for a
So
while, right?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. And so it's the whole thing. My argument about the LIV is how much money is enough money, right? Like it seems like it's never enough for these guys. And even baseball and football players are making ungodly amounts of money. Now, granted, it's still billionaire owners paying millionaires, right? Like, so I'm at the same time my suggestion to a professional athlete is go get everything you can get from that billionaire, right? Like, but when is it enough? Like, we're gonna have this conversation with Mahomes when his contract comes up again. Is he gonna leave for more money? Or is he going to stay because he likes being in Kansas City?
Yeah.
And so I think that's the hardest thing to talk about. And for my sake, that's some dirty fucking money. And I get that I think your opinion is whatever. They've already got it. Let me have some
You
of that.
not taking it is not going to keep them from having it.
I know. No, it's not.
And hopefully the players that do go continue their charitable efforts, and that money gets distributed to people who.
That's my whole point on this. So again, I'm kind of dissenting because I'm like, I wish they all would, because the PGA screwed this up from the get-go again. They screwed it up again, trying to be, authoritarians and like if you leave, you're never playing again, and they handled it terribly. Their PR department should all be fired and rehired with new people that understand what's going on in the world. And yes, I understand that sports washing is a big thing right now. But PGA doesn't care that they sponsor LPGA all up and down the chart. I mean, everywhere that money's all over the LPGA. And they didn't say a word about that. And then the money comes in and starts going after their big guys. And they're, well, you can't do that for our big guys. No, that's not the way that works. So just don't be a hypocrite, And don't get me started on dirty money either, because I can talk to you about companies in this country that are Apple, Microsoft, all kinds of them, that if you look hard enough, you find slave labor, child labor. It's every single piece, every single phone has cobalt in it that was mined by a child slave. You know that? Every single phone. Fun fact of the day. So, let's talk about dirty money. What do you say?
Yeah. I think that, I'm just like you. The LPGA Tour has played how many events over there? DP World Tour has had their championship in Abu Dhabi or Dubai. I mean, it's all, to me, that is like the smoke and mirrors for this. I mean, here's what we've already seen. The Wells Fargo has already pulled out of a sponsorship. Wells Fargo, one of the largest banking institutions in America, has said, "Well, you don't need our money; you have their money." Is basically what they said without saying it.
Well, I've heard that BJ asked for more money.
Yeah, they did.
And then Wells Fargo's like, nah.
Well,
exactly.
You have it all right here. Just agree, merge, get this over with. And I hate to say that because I feel like I don't like the idea of the team golf. I don't care that LIV is another tour. I mean, there's the Korn Ferry Tour, there's the DP World Tour. I don't care about that. I'm not a big team golf fan, and I'm not a big fan of these guys don't have to earn their money.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the whole PGA LIV thing to me is like, it's just about where the money's coming from, or PGA.
That's all. That's literally all it is. And then, PGA took money after.
Yeah.
I mean, they went merged anyway.
Which is not going to happen. I mean, the government's going to keep that from happening. So the reason it hasn't happened is because the government stepped in and said, that's fine, you guys can merge, but we need to see where the money's coming from the Saudis. And then they were like, nope, screw you, we're not doing that. And I don't know.
And isn't
why
the
would
whole
they?
reason why Saudi Arabia is trying to do this is to diversify their economy, because it's basically going to go in the tank. You either have oil or you have nothing.
Right.
So, which is probably a whole nother power struggle, because America wants to have the upper hand on Saudi Arabia, and if they diversify their economy, they're probably a stronger nation for that. I don't know. But, yeah.
Now we're getting to global politics.
Yeah.
So you're over my head.
We're moving on. We're moving on from that. Who do we think is the next guy going to LIV? Nobody's been announced. I swore it was going to be Finau, and he said no. He said he's not going anywhere.
I think it'll be Victor Hovland.
Hovland is adamant that he's not going. Right?
Yeah, but I think if he gets 300 mil, I mean, because money does talk.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. And until the PGA figures out a way to actually make the purses bigger. Because, I mean, I was kind of shocked that, Rahm's been playing for what, 10 years now? He's been on tour for 10 years?
Yeah.
I thought that amount of 77,000 was pretty low, to be honest, for somebody that's been a number one player in the world.
That was 77 million.
77 million, sorry.
Well, have you ever seen 77 million?
I have not, but
I think it can fill up this area.
I understand that, but you look at other sports, they're falling behind.
Oh yeah, but
With
golf's always been behind.
But with the top players are not even remote. They're not even close to the top players of Major League Baseball and football, and so I think that's where golf. It's not a team game, but they have to start looking at other professional sports and going, how are they so popular? Like the NFL motto and the way they go about things is the top of the top, right? So what are they doing? Well, they're taking their best players and compensating them very well and changing rules to make sure that they stay healthy. So at the same time, that's what these PGA players want more than anything, is not to have to play 30 tournaments in the year to be able to make money.
True.
They want to dial that back.
But swinging a golf club is a lot less stress on your body than.
But it's still the travel. Their weeks are still packed. I mean, they get done on a Sunday winning a tournament. They basically fly to the next tournament on Monday with the practice round.
NBA, NFL, NHL, MLB. It's 365 days a year. They take no time off. Golfers take a lot of time off.
They do. I'm not
professional golf.
They can take a month off or a week off, or I'm not going to play this week or
Right. And I'm not saying that they don't deserve to be paid more. I'm not. Well, maybe I am kind of saying, but I just don't think that. I just wish they'd get it over with. I'm tired of LIV.
I'm tired of the drama.
Yeah,
for sure.
Just do it and get it over.
I think the one thing they did right is paying everyone that is in the tournament. Like if you miss the cut, you still make.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of guys out there that are struggling.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're all talking about Rahm and Hovland and McElroy, but the guys that are 100th, 105th, 108th on tour that are driving from tournament to tournament and paying their caddy, and they don't make any money when they miss a cut, you got to pay them something. I mean, it's you work for 4 days. What other sport in the world would you go play and not earn a dollar?
Not earn anything. I do agree with that, and I don't think that people see that. People don't. And I don't even think that these guys on the PGA Tour that are trying to get these like whatever they're called events, special events that they're going to have that pay more. All they're doing is making the rich richer because you got to be in like the top 30 or top 50 to even qualify. Well, yeah, sure, that puts incentive on you to get better, but those guys are already trying to get better.
They're already rich
and
too.
they can't get their foot in the door.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, how is a guy like Spencer Levine, who was on tour, is now back in qualifying school?
Mhm.
He'll make it back to the tour, and then he'll get kicked right back off now because he
Yep.
can't get any exemptions.
Yep. It is a rough sport to break into.
But in the NF, the LIV is also killing the quality of golf. I mean, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
Like Cameron Smith, when he was playing in the Australian, he looked. I mean, granted, there's always you have a bad day or a bad week, you look pretty bad. But when there's no incentive to win, it's hard to get motivated to work on your game all the time. Now they're professionals; they should. I mean, other professional sports, they don't get paid by performance. They sign a contract, they get paid that year, no matter what. But
well, but you kind of see that in other sports, right? Like
You do,
see
contract
the fall off
years
after
and-
their payout, and maybe that's kind of what we're seeing with these guys. It's like,
And-
hey, I got paid, I'm going to take a few years off.
Chester McLaughlin rule.
Yeah.
And to your point of they probably make enough money, or they do make. Golfers get to play way longer than football players and baseball players because it's not as physical on their body. But all you are, because of they're getting more physical. You look at Rory now; he's starting to slim down because his back can't take his weight and swinging a club like that.
Well, not just the weight, but the torque that the muscle produces on your back is just.
So it's finding the right physical exercises to do that are not hurting your body at the same time. So it's definitely going to be interesting. Me personally, I've yet to watch a live event.
I don't watch one either.
Well, I watched part of one, and then the little drone cam made me dizzy, and I was like, I'm out.
It's kind of weird because it's almost like they're trying to make it the waste management every week. They got music playing, they've got parties going on, and they're even showing parties on the planes because the Live provided these guys and everything else. And
I'm fine with all that. That doesn't bother me. That's just what younger generation golfers want. Stuffy golf is not their thing. I get that part of it. My biggest thing is like I guess I just don't understand the team aspect, especially if at the end of the year or in the middle of the year you're always going to kick these bad people off the team, and then they're just down here in the pool, and now where do they go? Like that's what I don't understand. They don't have a funnel. Like they don't have a funnel to get there. They don't have a funnel to get out of there. You know, at least in the PGA Tour, there's structure. There's just no structure in LIV yet.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea if it were five events a year.
Yeah.
So that we're.
It's like 5 Ryder Cups.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But make it more like a Ryder Cup, not make it where it's do those events totally different, where this team's A is going against this team's A, and so on and so forth, and making it like that. But so
Enough of Live.
Okay. You want to take the next topic, or would you like me to do this again? It's fine. Is Tiger Woods back? Him and Charlie Woods played in the PNC this last weekend. And he played in the Bahamas like a week and a half before that. And he looks old.
He does look old. He is old. He's almost as old as I am.
he's not quite 50 yet, right?
But he has got some serious bags under those eyes.
Yeah.
I don't think he's back at all.
I agree.
He's definitely not.
I don't think he plays once a month like he says. I think he has more fun. He didn't even look like he was competitive in the father-son event, let alone at the Bahamas or anywhere like that. I just don't think he gives a crap.
Yeah, I don't either.
And why
He
would
doesn't
you?
have the drive.
No.
Well, and I don't think it's necessarily, maybe he doesn't have the drive. I don't think he's like he is Michael Jordan when it comes to this, right? Like if he can't be the best, he probably doesn't want to play at the competitive level. Michael Jordan got out because he didn't want he'd been there, he'd won it all, he'd done everything, he'd had scoring titles, he had all that, and I'm not the best anymore. I can't be this anymore.
Right. I think Tiger's situation is different only for one reason. He's got a kid that is very involved in golf now. And I think that like those kids never got to see him be good. They only got to see him fail. And so now he wants to try to keep playing just to show them, or maybe just to set an example for Charlie. That's the only reason I see why the guy even has any incentive to play. I don't think he's going to win a tournament.
I don't see him.
I mean, and he's not going to build on his legacy. All he's going to do is hurt his legacy.
And he's not going to hurt it.
No.
Because everybody's going to know, well, he was 48 years old.
Right.
Most guys you never hear from again. Mickelson's the exception, and they still give him trouble. And nobody gives Tiger trouble, but they give Mickelson trouble, and he's playing more and he's playing better.
Yeah.
But he's the game has passed him by, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think he can't win another tournament.
I think he knows that too.
If he can win one, it's the Masters.
I would agree. And I think the only reason why he's doing it is for Charlie. And I also think that him, as in the notes here, he's on that player advisory board. I think that takes a toll. I think you saw it take a toll on Rory. I think it takes a toll on all those guys that are on that board, especially right now with this LIV thing.
And the golf ball rolled back and the club.
Well, and I think, and don't you think that's the only reason Tiger's trying is because the PGA is pushing him to play?
Yeah.
Because he is the face of golf.
He's got to do all the PR, and I think they chose him for that because he's probably the best at PR of anyone. I mean, he's the nicest guy in the world to tell you to screw off.
Yeah, but he's definitely not back, right? Like in the Bahamas, he was sweating
so bad.
way more than it was almost. I'm not saying that he was on drugs by any means. I think he's old and he's hurting.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
he was limping pretty bad.
Hank Haney wrote a book, and in the book there was some stuff about advanced medical procedures that we're not going to say were illegal substances, but they were borderline illegal, and they have some side effects similar to what he still shows when he overuses his body.
Right.
And on a side note, completely random, I'm done. I'm over Charlie already.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably just because he played in this tournament this week. I hope. But my Instagram feed, all it was.
It's all
look at Charlie. Look at Charlie. Charlie had a
How
drive this
about
far.
the
Charlie
Soros
tipped
game,
in.
too?
Charlie, I don't care.
I'd much rather watch. Well, I do like watching Charlie because I think everybody wants to see, is he going to be as good as
He's not.
Tiger?
I'll tell you right now.
He won't.
Nobody is.
And you can tell by his putting stroke he won't.
He's not. Nobody is. And that's what a terrible ruler to be held against.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
It's horrible.
oh, you're not the world's second greatest golfer of all, third greatest golfer of all time.
Well, and how many? And if you look at great professional athletes, when their kids go into the same sport that their dad was in, they typically don't hold up the title because it's unfair.
Yeah,
right.
They're the exception, right?
Right.
Like Griffey was the exception. Bonds the exception.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely happens, but more likely it doesn't, just
Right.
because of the pressure that is on that kid, and the dad's not putting that pressure on him.
No, it's
and
the media.
If
People.
anything, I've heard of professional athletes telling their kid to play a different sport so you don't have that persona on you. So
Mahomes.
yeah. So, and I'm not tired of Charlie. I do think it's an interesting story. I was a Tiger fan. I know you were not, right? So,
I was a Tiger fan. I'm still a Tiger fan.
I appreciate,
Yeah.
but I did never.
you're probably more like I hate Tom Brady, but respect him because he was so good, right? Like that's probably how you think of it.
Yeah.
I hate him because he beat the Chiefs all the time. So,
I was a lefty fan because he went to Arizona State. Now he's kind of tarnished himself a little lately, but I liked him growing up. So.
and I've actually even though he went to live, I became more of a Phil fan later on in life than I did early on because I was a Tiger fan, right? I guess when you were a Tiger fan, you have to hate Phil.
Yeah.
If you're a Phil fan, you had to hate Tiger.
Like I hated Nicholas because I was a Watson fan, right? So you look back now, I appreciate Nicholas. I like him now. He was a good guy, but I hated him growing up.
Okay, so moving on.
I think we should just talk about this, and because we're at.
45 minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so just talk about this.
Yep.
Okay, so we're just gonna move on. I took a quick recent trip to Florida and played in a pro-am. Actually, me and our other golf professional here, Tim Jarman, we both played. We both finished very well, and the reason why I feel like this is important is because for those of you who don't know kind of our backgrounds and our stories, I am a golfer who's at the club professional level that doesn't practice nearly as much as he should and might have a chance to be better than what I am now if I did practice. But anyway, regardless, I qualified to play in the PGA National Professional Championship, which is this coming April. So I've been trying to do things throughout this winter to keep my game up to par. So hopefully I can make it inside the top 20 and qualify for the PGA Championship. So you might see some snippets, video clips of some stuff that I'll be doing over the winter time in places and things. Anyway, the recap with that was we had a strong finish, both Tim and I. Tim finished third with a score of 6 under par. It was a 3-day event. I finished in second with a score of 8 under par, and we both got obliterated by a guy named Luke Long who shot 16 under par. We did play at the Stream Song Golf Resort, which is an awesome resort if anybody ever goes. All the courses are very fair. They're wide open. It's like a driving range. You can hit it anywhere. The greens are massive, rolling, kind of linksy style greens. Yeah, they all came back. I elected to stay, and I played in one of the Midwest sector. I'm sorry, PGA of America Winter Series events for club professionals, which I did not do very well in. I was a little tired and definitely need to work on some physical fitness. However, I ended up tied for 50th, I think, in that.
But you also dealt with some elements. I mean,
Yes, and it was cold.
3 days of windy, cold golf, and will take it out of you. I don't care how good a shoot.
Yeah. So anyway, that's just a little recap on what I've been doing. I'm looking for a few more events this winter to go and play in just to stay competitive. But yeah, what else?
So what is your plan from here on out? Like, you talked about your maybe
That's
you need to
probably
worry
the first thing. Physical fitness.
So what are you going to do to do that? Like
Well,
diet, exercise, gym,
yes.
personal trainer?
I don't know that diet's really my thing. I'm not good at the diet, but my metabolism's still good enough. I think my diet won't play as big of a role. Obviously, I'm not going to eat junk food all the time, but the biggest thing for me is exercise and gaining some muscle, mainly more so for stability. I think I have speed, but I don't have a stable enough core to sustain that speed.
Mm-hmm.
So, like when I was down there in Stream Song, I found that, and that's at sea level, so I found that like my distances were a lot farther than what I thought they would be. However, I just am not consistent enough to maintain that speed that I need
For 4 rounds.
Yeah, on every swing, just in each round. So, and a lot of it's getting out of Bermuda rough. You got to be strong to do that, and fairway bunkers, stuff like that. For me, that's huge. So I've reached out to a personal trainer. I'm going to set up a meeting with him, hopefully this week, and then we'll start from there.
Go.
Then after that, it's a lot of short game and wedge work. You have to be so precise with the wedges, especially the two courses that I'm going to go play. It's 100 yards and in, 120 yards and in. Like, I can't be outside of 10 feet.
So you went and played those 2 courses that you are going to play in April.
Yes.
Those are in Texas.
Those are in Texas, Frisco, Texas.
So and that is the courses that are owned by the PGA, right? So
Well, they're actually owned by Omni Resorts, but it's the PGA. They kind of partnered to have. So the city of Frisco, how I understand this, the city of Frisco, I should know the name of this section, but I think it's the North Texas section PGA and Omni Resorts all partnered together and pooled their resources, to build these complexes so that the PGA could use it as their headquarters, the city of Frisco, their golf teams could utilize it, and obviously Omni Resorts, it's another resort out of it. But Omni actually owns the property. Obviously PGA golf professionals run it, but it's an awesome facility. For anybody who hasn't been, I think you should go. It's not cheap. If the PGA of America wants to watch this, you can call me anytime. We can discuss how to reevaluate your pricing.
Well, and it makes it tough for all you guys that are at the club professional level.
Well,
to
our motto is to grow the game.
You're right, and
$500 rounds of golf do not grow the game.
So when I was an assistant pro for a while, we just called and we played for free where we wanted. Is that not?
No, not a thing anymore. And especially this time of year, like if we want to go somewhere warm, like you'll call and remember the PGA. Yeah, this time of year we don't do anything.
Just because it's peak season and you get nothing.
It's peak season, golf's in a boom. Yeah, they don't really do.
That's a shame, especially if you're playing a practice round for a tournament host.
Yeah, now I will say when I did finally get through to somebody, they were very nice and very helpful, and they did give us a little bit of a break.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's still expensive.
it's definitely, it's
For somebody that they're just trying to
yeah.
get a token on a PGA championship, and they promote. I mean, the Michael Block is exactly what you're trying to do, right? Like when last year when he made the PGA,
Yeah.
it's the same
It's the same
deal.
pathway.
But they prop that up like it was a great, and it is a great story. It's an awesome story. But the fact that
They make it very difficult.
right, and it should be difficult to make it. I'm not saying it shouldn't, but it shouldn't break the bank for somebody that's not making $1 million a year to go out and be able to try to live their dream for one weekend.
Yeah, and I would be very interested to take a poll to see how many of those guys that qualified just for the national professional tournament, how many of those guys work at a country club compared to a municipal facility.
Sure, because the country club guys will pay. They've got
Yeah.
sponsors.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
So talk about your last trip. You went down there. You said you struggled a little bit. It was windy.
it was windy.
So what is your goal going forward with how you're going to take on those two courses that you're going to be playing?
Yeah, so when I played in Frisco, it was very windy. The elements are a huge factor down there. There's nothing to block the wind.
Texas sucks. I said it.
My biggest thing was, so the West course is like, it's insane. You cannot imagine the slope that this golf course has, like everywhere. It's not just on the greens, but like, I think it's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, I think it's the fourth or fifth hole. I think it's the fourth hole. It's a par 4, and you kind of tee off up this hill. It's a gradual hill that goes all the way. It's kind of like number 15 here. But imagine if number 15, the left edge of the green, we'll just say, just went straight down 100 yards.
Mm.
I mean, just straight, like shaved the whole thing straight down 100 yards. I mean, you can hit the green, and the green's kind of like an
Almost
L
like
shape.
9, but instead of just 10 yards down, it goes.
It's going to go 100 yards
down.
all the way back to your feet. I mean, it's just it's very surreal, and that's a hole that played into the wind for us, but will probably play downwind the next time around. So instead of 4 iron, I might hit 8 iron into the green. So a lot of it was learning just the golf course, and then knowing I'm going to play in the opposite wind more than likely. So that'll be
Just because time of year.
just because of the time of year. Yeah. So the local caddies were awesome. They had great knowledge for no more than they've been there. I mean, I thought they were excellent. But the greens aren't super grainy. Really no grain in the greens, which is nice. The bunkers are deep. There's no bunkers really like short front, long deep. Like it's on this, like you can't miss left or right when you're going into a green. You can miss as far long or short as you want. Don't miss left or right. And if you do miss, you might as well just putt because it's so tight and the collars are grainy.
So you Texas wedging it quite a bit down there
I am, yeah.
in
Sure.
Texas. So you're going in January. What is your prep when you go down there and play this time? Are you just going to try to get more yardages down?
Yeah.
Try to figure out what you're going to be hitting in the greens, or getting, like, I don't know. I see a lot of yardage books when they do show it on TV with their caddy or whatever. They're showing this bunkers, this yardage. Are you going to try to do that too? Or?
Well, for me, for this event, we get to use range finders, so yardages to trouble aren't really that big of a deal for
That's
me.
good.
My biggest thing is like just 120 yards in it, and how the ball reacts, and the trajectory is huge there because you can't hit anything high, but you can even hit some shots that are middle flighted or low flighted that still aren't going to get where you think they should. I mean, I had a shot. I had 120 yards on one of the par 4s, and I thought the wind was going to be blocked because there was kind of like this big dune that was out there, if you want to, for lack of better terms, and it did absolutely nothing to the wind. So I hit a wedge from 124 and tried to like flight it down, and I was 30 yards short of the green. I hit a 7-iron and couldn't get it there. I mean, it's just, I don't know what to do in those situations. I mean, I do know what to do, but it's hard to tell yourself I'm 124
Right.
yards and I'm going to put this 7-iron all the way in the back of my stance, and I'm just going to hit it as hard as I can.
Yeah, that'd be hard.
So that's the biggest adjustment for me. And just short game, chipping around the greens is so critical. You're not going to hit every green, and you're not going to make every putt, but putting is not really where I struggle on those greens. Putting is typically my struggle in general. Those greens, I putted okay. I did not chip well. And it's hard, they're just so hard to chip. I mean, there's a drivable par 4 on the East course. I want to say it's on the front 9, and it's only like 270 yards. Yeah, I mean, it plays like 270, but if you miss the green short, you're chipping. I don't know how to explain this. It's like on a peninsula. So you've got probably 10 yards uphill to an area that's probably double the width of this table, and then it drops down 10 more yards on the other side. So good luck.
Good luck.
Anyway.
Well, you're going to earn your spot if you place there. So, you got any questions for him about that?
Nope. That's all I have to say about that.
Well, I think that wraps it up then.
Yep.
We appreciate all of you guys for watching. Hopefully you made it to the end of this video. Hopefully everything on this video audio-wise went okay, since I noticed that both mics are
Are they not on?
They're not on, and I got up and
great.
unplugged them earlier, so I don't know. This might work, it might not.
This made all been for nothing.
Yeah. Thank you again to the Excelsior Springs Golf Course for letting us use their facility. Again, you can find this on all of the platforms that we can figure out how to put it on.
I will add at the last moment, it is December 18th, correct? We get a week. We get a week left for shopping for Christmas. There is all kinds of good merchandise up here with great Excelsior Springs logos, new logos, hats, shirts, jackets, everything for the golfer in your life. Just don't buy them balls or clubs. Just come out and buy clothes.
Yep, agree.
Especially in this this state where it's 50 yesterday, and now it's 37 today, and it'll be 55 on Wednesday. So.
Yeah. And they wonder why we get head colds.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks again, guys. Share this with all your friends, and we'll see you next time.